Arsenal's
I flew into the US Navy's most versatile ship and spent 3 nights on board. It's not an aircraft carrier, a cruiser, or a submarine. It's a ship that probably most of you have not even heard of. This is a San Antonio-class amphibious assault ship, and I did fly into it, but not on an MV-22 Osprey. I flew into the belly of this beast on a hovercraft. The amount of design elements incorporated throughout this ship is insane. From mundane things that you wouldn't even think of, like how much force should be required to open and close the doors, to curious things, like why are all the handrails mounted crooked? I'll explain all that and much more. Boy, this ship sometimes puts on a light show. How bringing women on board surface combatants made things much more comfortable for men, and why the Navy is downgrading the future iterations of this class by designing it to be less capable is not what you think. With a displacement of 25,000 tons, San Antonio-class ships are the largest U.S. warships, well besides those ships that have a flight deck from bow to stern, such as supercarriers and some amphibious assault ships. Also known as a landing platform dock or LPD-17 class, these ships have a massive flight deck that accommodates the operation of 2 MV-22 Ospreys near simultaneously, which I got to witness firsthand. Ospreys are pretty loud, so everyone was wearing earplugs. The ship also carries 319,000 gallons of aircraft fuel, which is about half the volume of an Olympic-sized swimming pool. Speaking of swimming pools, another key feature is the large well deck that can house 2 landing craft air cushion or LCACs, or 1 landing craft utility also known as LCU. There are multiple vehicle decks and over 38,000 square feet of space to store a variety of amphibious assault vehicles. But the particular ship that I'm on is much more unique because it's made up of something very special. 7.5 tons of steel from the rubbles of the World Trade Center were actually melted and casted into the ship's bow during its construction. This is USS New York, a ship that was named in the honor of the victims of the September 11 attacks in New York City. And to bring it full circle, the ship is sailing from Norfolk to New York City to celebrate Veterans Day 2023. One of the really cool things about this class of ships is their stealthy design. On radar, San Antonio ships look smaller than they actually are. This stealth capability is due to the slant that's prevalent throughout the ship's design, starting with these 2 giant masts. These ships were the first to incorporate the advanced enclosed mast system. 2 giant structures in the middle of the ship house communications and radar antennas, while keeping the ship's radar cross-section to a minimum. We actually brought a bag of popcorn kernels on board to put inside the mast and see if they would pop. But unfortunately, we couldn't test it. We were told the radiation was too powerful up inside the mast, but we were reassured that we could indeed make popcorn if we could go in. The towers are made of special materials that permits the ship's own sensor frequencies with very low loss while reflecting other frequencies. But notice how each side of the mast is slanted upward. This way, any external signals that are reflected back bounce upward instead of going straight back, reducing the amount of signals that radar receivers would pick up, which in turn minimizes the ship's radar cross-section. Interestingly, this upward slant design was everywhere on the exterior of the ship. For example, all the doors on the inside are installed vertically as you'd expect, but exterior doors are all slanted. The railings on the perimeter of the ship are also installed at an angle. Even the steps on the ladders follow the same principle. And of course, the sides of the ship's hull are no exception. Switching from the exterior design to the interior, USS New York is also a floating museum. This metal plaque that now bears the name of the ship was salvaged from the ruins of the World Trade Center and installed on the ship. USS New York and her sister ships, USS Arlington and USS Somerset, are floating museums that have many references to New York City. And just like the Marines that they carry, these ships are the Swiss Army knife of the US Navy. It's true that San Antonio-class LPDs have been involved in missions like recovering NASA's Orion spacecraft from the ocean in 2022, and also transporting captured terrorists from the Middle East to the United States for trial. But the primary mission of these ships is to take 800 Marines and their equipment close to their destination, and then transport them to land with the help of landing craft and various aircraft operated by the U.S. Marine Corps. There are also 360 sailors on board who take care of everything on the ship. San Antonio ships could go underway as part of a 3-ship amphibious ready group, or they could sail alone, which is why LPDs are equipped with 2 RIM-116 RAM missile launchers for point defense against anti-ship missiles. Each launcher sits on a set of giant springs that act as shock absorbers. This ship is not equipped with surface-to-surface missiles, but it could carry a HIMARS. This was in fact tested on USS Anchorage in 2017, where missiles were launched right off the flight deck of the ship. Remember those Ospreys? It just happened that one of them stayed on the flight deck of USS New York and got folded up. So the next morning, I had the opportunity to check her out. Without any cargo on board, Ospreys can transport 24 Marine combat troops, which is what these seats are for. Where the Osprey really shines is long-range vertical assault and extraction. It's faster and has a longer range than any existing military helicopter, and it can hover, something that airplanes cannot do. Even though Ospreys can fly horizontally, they can't land horizontally like an airplane does, because their rotor blades have a diameter of 38.1 feet, so big that the blades would hit the ground before the landing gear does. See that at the tip of the blade? It's an LED light that can be turned on at night. This makes it easier to see the perimeter of the blades as they spin. It's purely for safety, which is especially useful when 2 Ospreys are operating in proximity on this flight deck at night. Given the primary mission of LPDs, there are also a number of design features specifically with Marines in mind. There's a 124-bed state-of-the-art hospital on board the ship, equipped with X-ray machines and 2 operating rooms. LPDs have much larger hospitals compared to aircraft carriers, and that's because Marines are at a much higher risk of injury due to the nature of their job. Even the dining tables in the officers' mess hall are large, so if needed, they could be used as makeshift hospital beds. If you've ever been on any naval ship, you would know they have quite narrow